So the line reads, "We could do better odds on the packs that this person opens for promotional purposes." This, even though apparently has been only heard once in this article by Polygon, and I'll include the link in the description below, that is very unsettling. I have a very contentious relationship with loot boxes and the concept that they are. People will say, oh, they're not gambling, and legally that is correct. And so right now governments are trying to decide if they want to change the definition of what gambling is. The reason this gets my blood boiling is because it produces a false narrative. And it also, as somebody who is on YouTube and who does some streaming from time to time, it kind of sheds a dark or some light on kind of a dark secret of the industry, of kind of the content creation industry, and that really frustrates me. Because like when Ninja was getting paid to to promote Apex Legends, I have no issue with it. But when you go look at that, when you go look at him playing that and what that actually looks like, it's streamers aren't constantly reminding their audiences that, hey, like, I'm being paid to play this game. And in some cases, it's actually a sign of, kind of a badge of honor. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong to get, paid to play these games or things like that. I'm going to focus my conversation here on the concept of the loot box, because this is kind of really where it gets frustrating. But right now, the government's investigating. And the fact is that it's interesting. The opening of loot boxes, and we've seen this from the Paul brothers, from Jake Paul doing kind of the real world loot box, and that whole thing blowing up, promoting gambling to children, to the in-game loot box. And we're seeing overseas that governments are trying to decide, like, should we change it based off of a monetary value or an item of significance and things like that. But to modify, and we know that they've already modified the odds. They modify the odds if you don't win, because they want, it's just like a gambling culture. Like, they want to hook you enough so that you get that dose of dopamine so that you keep coming back and you keep spending money. Loot boxes have been phenomenal for the profit books, but I think for the culture of gaming, we're seeing just a huge level of frustration and anger amongst gamers who are essentially getting tired of playing in the slot machine kind of world. I have no issue with a treasure box, something that you can play the game and open and things you get items for playing the game. It's actually only when these items are purchasable, because it essentially kind of encourages continuing to pull that lever. So they're investigating. They're investigating the loot box, and it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Obviously, we'll see, I think, probably stock prices drop for all these companies that use them. And so essentially Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, they've all kind of come out, even Apple, and they're going to require people to disclose the odds for loot boxes. I think that's them trying to get ahead of this. That's them trying to stem the tide. I think we've already seen better systems introduced. But to pay or to promote these systems and then to change the odds in favor of that, it just kind of screams to me. Like, it feels so fake. And we've talked about it here on the channel. And I think that's why there's a lot of frustration around the internet. I think that's why there's just so much, I guess, toxicity, because we don't know, as both just consumers of social media, what is real and what isn't. The social media, like it just, gosh, the dadgummit pisses me off. I look forward to a time, and here's the thing. If we're able to get to, if we're able to kind of win and kind of get rid of loot boxes from video games, in general, it doesn't, these aren't good systems. But let's say we win. Hopefully the system that replaces it is better than what we have now and not worse. It's kind of like the devil you know. But I think we're messing with the minds of these kids. I think we're messing with the chemical and the chemistry in their brains. I think that this is a system that in which that it's kind of been a field day. It's kind of been this, magical time in game creation where they've discovered this system that is, it's funny that they've discovered and implemented the system that's been working for centuries, which is that of the casino. And by technicality, because you're not actually getting like, oh, I actually got real world money, that people feel like it's not as addictive. And I think that's kind of the mistake. That's why I think I specifically fault games that have loot boxes that have that option. And when people say it's like, oh, it's just cosmetic and it's just optional, like, I get that argument. It's not content that I'm specifically interested in either. But because I'm not interested, it doesn't mean that there aren't people who are spending insane amounts of money on these games. I think when you've heard the horror stories of tens of thousands of dollars that people just like maybe not even realize it. I think that there's a type of personality that it'll be interesting to see overall. Like if this is something that, from a personality perspective, that they're able to find and identify these what the industry calls whales, people who are going to spend so much money on the game to kind of cover all the people who don't spend money on the game, and so there's a value in that. But it is frustrating. It is frustrating, especially when we talk about them working with content creators. Again, I'm not going to fault any content creator who wants to take a brand deal or work with a sponsor and sit down and be able to make interesting content and be able to keep the lights on and pay their bills. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that as long as it's obviously disclosed that something is happening, and in that regards, that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for the industry. I think it's a good thing for all the people who get to kick back and enjoy like really interesting content and don't have to pay for it. Maybe they watch an ad, a pre-roll or something like that. But that's not the problem here. It's it's the whole Fallout 76 kind of bag situation, in which that what they show you and then what you end up getting is something so different. What they show you is this, like, oh look, you're winning all this great stuff, and that's just them teaming up with these content creators. I think it shows the sleaze within the industry, the hunger or the greed. I think it's a popular term to throw around. I think it's kind of difficult to kind of label that, on everything, because there's nothing wrong with making money. That's you gotta make money, especially because not everything's going to be a guaranteed success. But I think that's just a smart business. But when it crosses that line, I think that's when we get so frustrated. And I think this particular article, like I said, is going to be in the description below, really just kind of frustrates me to no end, because of its relationship with streamers and with content creators, because whether they know or just ignorant of the fact of the level, that's something I'm always debating on personally. But to the level of influence that they bring, and I hate the term influencer. I like content creator. I like making videos. Like, that's really what it's about. But like, I get it. I get that, people are wanting to pay for these like audiences, these communities, and to then willingly deceive them. I don't know if the content creator is aware in this case of what they're talking about, but it shows just a massive amount of disrespect that these companies who are literally wanting to manipulate the odds. And I don't even know if the creators are aware of it, saying, hey, we're going to give you all these loot boxes, and guess what? It's going to be just raining candy from the sky. And maybe they don't even know, but it's still deceptive. It's still engineered. And it just pisses me off. I'm sorry. Welcome to Tuesday, everybody. I was sitting down, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about, and I just couldn't get past this piece. Anyway, guys, if you want to check out the article, link is in the description below. I'd love to know your thoughts. I think as gamers, we need to the best thing we can do is continue to contact our representatives. Tell them that this is not an appropriate thing. And if you're fine with it, that's good. But I'm looking at everybody. Like, again, I don't buy loot boxes. I've never been tempted by loot boxes. I've earned them in game, and I've opened them and moved on with my life. I think there's better systems that get people to spend money, but maybe I'm wrong there. And I think that there's definitely a part of the population that finds gets taken advantage of. Whether they're too young or they have that addictive personality or that dopamine hit just keeps them addicted, and we've got no shortage of problems, obviously. And I just think that if we can, as a community, remain focused, diligent, and really kind of hit this right where it counts, we might be able to make some progress. But the best thing we can do is I'll contact our representatives. I'll leave it at that. Contact the local representative, representative, and maybe, and hopefully, that the system that ends up replacing loot boxes, if we were able to get them, removed from our video games, is better and not worse. Anyway, like I said, I'd love to know your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching this video. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Whoa, you guys are the best. Jorge, Kyle, Philip, 31 Edwards, Rock Druid, Corey Longwith, Aaron, Axis, Hambone, Lady Wild Plays, CN Abs, this is going too fast, Christopher, Phil, Shun, Dragons, Soul, Keen, Knights, Assassin, Carlos, Sherry, Robert, Leyland, Davon, Tim, Jojo World, Terrace, Sora, Scrublord, Trevor, Mill, Almond, 70s, Kimber, Tyler, oh my god, I'm so sorry, Cody, Legend, Armin, Carlos, Endless, Jonathan, Jade, Sai, Derek, Brandon, Aaron, Riku, Daryl, Chemistral, Lauren, The Wolf, the Gar, Kelly, Anthony, Solid, John, Huskray, oh my god, everybody, Dark Later, Christopher, Vestmans, Sean, Nopi, Brian, Tom, Dylan, Silent, whew, I missed your names. I'm sorry. I love you all. Oh my gosh, that was tough.